Every culture has their own stew, and today I'm taking you to Catalonia, or to Spain. I'm going to be making a delicious bean and lamb stew. So this is lamb shoulder. Lamb shoulder is fantastic for stewing because it has a little fat and connective tissue to it. And before we put this on, I need to make a stock. We'll start with some chicken stock, about 500 mils to a litre. And if you like I'm doing today, I'm going to be mixing my stock with a little water. So we'll add some water to this. So dilute it to start with. We'll turn the heat on. And I'll add a good pinch of saffron. So you'll see that this saffron, after it starts to warm up in this stock, it'll start to go an orange colour. So while that steeps, let's get on to searing off the meat. So just like any other stew, you want to sear it off. I'm going to be using a sauté pan because it not only is going to stew our meat, it also goes in the oven. We want a dual purpose pan. So in here we'll add some extra virgin olive oil, so about a tablespoon, and we'll start searing off our meat. Don't overcrowd the pan. So you can do this in batches, and you want the pan to be really hot. I know this pan is hot because that thermo signal is that solid red colour, so it's a good indication. Right, while we do the first batch, we'll get on to just some classic stew vegetables. Some onion, we'll cut in half first, and then just slice this up into small wedges. This is going to cook for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, so I don't want the onions to be too small. I want them to be seen in the dish at the end. Some garlic, and don't be shy with the garlic. I want at least 4 cloves of garlic that I'll just roughly chop. Okay, let's turn the meat. That's what we're after. And this pan is non-stick, so turning is a breeze. We need to season freshly cracked pepper and some salt, and I'll just give it a few more minutes on this side. We'll take it out and then I'll add the rest of the meat. We're not cooking it at this stage, we're just trying to get that gorgeous colour on each individual piece. Meat is looking good, so we'll add our onions and garlic, and you can see that some of the fat has rendered in the pan there. That's going to give this a great flavour too. And you'll see, just as you start to mix this in and scrape the base of this pan, all of those caramelised bits are going to be picked up by the onions. Now, the beans I'm using are navy beans, also called haricot beans. They're creamy and they cook a little faster. However, just like every other dried bean, they need to be soaked in water. So do that the night before and then drain them off. All right, this is looking pretty good. So we'll add some tomato paste for some flavour. It's also going to thicken up our sauce, so about a tablespoon of that. I like to cook off my tomato paste. See that nice hot pan, fantastic. The lamb can go in, and any juices on the plate, we want that too. I'm just going to give that a really quick toss, just to combine it. And I'll deglaze this with some sherry wine, another typical wine from Spain. If you didn't want to use sherry, of course, you could just use some white wine for this dish. Now in with our beans. And it doesn't look like it's a lot of beans, but after this cooks for a while, they will start to absorb all of the liquid that I'm adding in there, and it will bulk out. And our gorgeous saffron stock, it's been steeping, it's nice and hot, we'll add that. And you want enough stock just to cover everything up. So between 1 to 1.5 litres. I'll add my herbs. I have a combination of thyme and some bay leaves. We'll just scatter that around. And lid on. And this is just going to gently bubble away for about an hour and a half, or until the beans are cooked and that meat is just falling apart. Oh, it smells good in here. I can smell the saffron and the lamb and all those gorgeous herbs. It's just the best. So I'm going to turn the heat off now, and you know it's cooked when the lamb does this. If it just falls apart, it's meltingly tender, you know it's ready. Just delicious. Now we need to season this because we didn't season the beans before. So a pinch of salt and some freshly cracked pepper too, because I love a bit of pepper with this. I'll just stir that through. And this is good enough to eat as is, maybe some bread, or we can take it one step further and just add a little crust, a little Parmesan crust to this. Some fresh breadcrumbs. I'll add some grated Parmesan, just a small amount of Parmesan with this, so you want half the Parmesan to breadcrumbs, a splash of extra virgin olive oil, and I'll just give that a mix. I add the oil because I want it to go quite golden in colour under the grill. So on with our crust, just sprinkle it over, just coating it all. This just gives it another dimension, which I just adore. We're good to go. So I can just pop this straight in the oven. It's a one pan wonder, and it'll be ready once it's golden brown. Now you can see why I wanted to add a crust to this. It just looks so fantastic. But of course the handle's hot, so just always remind yourself to put a tea towel on the handle. Even when you take it to the table, leave the tea towel there. You don't want anyone to burn themselves. Maybe a little sprinkle of parsley before you serve it. And that for me is an absolute treat, particularly in the cooler months. That slow cooked meat. Oh, I've got to have a taste. Listen to that, crispy topping. Those beans. And don't forget all those juices that have now formed into a lovely saffron style sauce. This is the type of cooking I like, slow cooking. There's just something so comforting about it. And that meat, when it's that tender, those soft little beans. Geez, that's good. It is so delicious. I love it, and I know you're gonna love it too.